There's been a lot of theory done on CBDCs, there's been a lot of economic analysis, but this was the first time they're actually testing it with real applications, real payments, and real use cases that represented what people and businesses use. Project Rosalind's objectives were for the Bank of England and the Bank of International Settlement to understand what a CBDC means for banks, institutions, payment organizations, and fintechs in a real-world setting. We actually created a new form of money. We were able to create a new form of escrow, a digital escrow. We saw firsthand participants like the Central Bank of Canada, Amazon, Barclays, MasterCard use this innovative escrow technology that we built to create new types of payments and new types of flows.
What made Project Rosalind so successful was that it was very, very driven by end users. They engaged the API users and some big folks and some small folks early on and continuously throughout the project, and they still are doing. And that focus on what is it that end users want? Why will they find it useful? Actually is a massive contributor to project success, right? It means there's a reason for the project to happen, which is not the case with all blockchain projects. It was very, very iterative. Every week we were coming up with new requirements. Every week we were producing new demos, and we had really strong participation from the Bank of England, from BIS, from everybody. And the project was like an absolute dream, right? It was the best project we've worked on.
Was truly agile. We're receiving requirements, shipping a build, receiving feedback from users within a 2-week span. It's something that you don't get very often in projects or products, that you're getting user feedback within 2 weeks of getting the requirements. So that by itself was exhilarating.
Quant's technology for Project Rosalind essentially provides the technological foundation of the entire project itself.
A big part of our contribution to that was Overledger, our technology, and that made everything much smoother and much faster. If we'd been building against a regular blockchain and integrating with it directly, we would never have been able to do it in 6 months.
The whole idea of Project Rosalind was to create a whole bunch of APIs that businesses and banks could use to interact with CBDCs. Those APIs actually talk to Overledger and interact with the blockchain via Overledger. So we literally provide the technological foundation for interacting with blockchain.
The other area where we contributed a lot was in our smart contract expertise. We built the smart contracts for this, which are quite complex central bank digital currency smart contracts, and that's a kind of a credit to the folks on our tech team. The main challenges in Project Rosalind were around kind of defining exactly what do we mean by a CBDC, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. It could be decentralized, it could be centralized, and so some of those big decisions needed to happen quite early on. The other challenge that we had was around offline payments. Offline payments are just technically difficult, and it took us longer than we expected to work through how that works. We were successful in the end, but it took a while.
We had so many different requirements to cater for, and taking those diverse requirements and diverse use cases and boiling that down into a simple set of APIs that would suit everyone was a design challenge in itself. To then take those APIs and build them rapidly was a fun challenge, but a challenge nonetheless.
The learning outcomes from this project for us have been really quite transformative. So there was the big thing with retail CBDC is, so what? Right? Well, what's the point of this? And Project Rosalind came up with some really, really good answers to that, which were kind of collaborative through the whole process. But actually they've given us a lot of clarity in terms of how that should work, and that's affected some of our other propositions.
We have kind of laid the groundwork for how Quant wants to do projects going forward. There was a huge amount of collaboration, and it was an absolute joy to work with everybody. Plus, internally within our teams, it challenged us to work quicker and collaborate internally within Quant as well. So honestly, it was a joy.